let's have a look at topological sort. This is such a fun topic because it has several real world applications that are very interesting. So, what is a topological sort? A topological sort, it's specific to a directed graph, and it's just a linear ordering of vertices. And it's such that for every edge that exists from every directed edge that exists from u to v, in that particular linear ordering, we'll have it in that linear ordering will be such that in the ordering, vertex u will appear before vertex v, and that is all. So just to have an example, like one possible topological order or topological sort for this directed graph is 1 to 4. And note that a topological ordering need not be unique. A directed graph can have several topological orderings, and every one of them can be valid. And for example, in this case, we have 1 to 4, and we can also have 1, 4, and 2. However, what is not valid is something like 4, 1, 2, because there is an edge from 1 to 4, having something like 4, 1, 2 will violate that, and that cannot happen, and that is not a topological order. So for every uh, directed edge that goes from u to v in the topological order, it needs to appear in the exact same way. So u should come before v. It need not be immediately before v, but it has to be at least like somewhere before v. So that is a topological order, and some of the applications are very interesting. The first one is something that we all must have come across in our universities, wherein we need to find a way of taking up courses, and meeting our credits, and at the same time, we also have to ensure we finish up prerequisites of the course. So how do we take up the courses, and in which order do we do that does matter, and because the courses have several prerequisites. And then the next one is something that has to do with program dependencies. And if you use something like a package manager like npm or yarn, you know that if you have to install a certain package, and it may have dependencies, you need to also install certain other packages as well. So the order in which you install things does come into play. And topological sort can be helpful there. And another example is where you have events that are having dependencies between each other, and you want to schedule it in an effective manner, or you want to schedule it in an efficient way. So this can be very useful in operating systems, where you have several events, and you need to find out the order in which you need to schedule things, so that it does not have any conflicts, or you have to find a way to schedule things in the right way. So the order in which execute things does matter. The simplest example of a topological order or topological sort is getting dressed correctly. So when you're getting dressed, you don't want to get into a state where you should have actually put on something else before you are wearing something else. So that is something we all would like to avoid. And so for example, because there are dependencies, like you need to put on your socks before you put on your shoes, or you need to put on a shirt before you actually put on a tie, and you need to put on a shirt, you need to wear a shirt before you can actually put on a suit jacket. That means a suit jacket has a prerequisite of a shirt being worn, and the order in which you actually dress up does matter. And there can be several orders in which you get dressed correctly, but the order in which you get dressed does matter, unless of course you're Superman. So this is something we already covered. Like for example, let's say you have math 1 is actually a prerequisite of math 2 in a university, and let's say the advanced Java course has a prerequisite of Java already being completed. And similarly, if you want to take up a compilers 2, there is a good chance that you should have completed compilers 1, and that is a prerequisite. So if you have several prerequisites and dependencies, how can you actually find the right way of taking up courses such that you can have flexibility of orders, but the these dependencies or these conditions need to be met, that you should finish the prerequisites before you actually take on courses. So the order of courses in order to meet the minimum like credit requirements, and for that you can actually take the help of topological sort. So what is a directed acyclic graph, or DAG in short? This is just a fancy way of a directed graph with no directed cycles. So basically the graph should not have any kind of closed loops. So in this case, there are no closed loops, there are no directed cycles here. And if you go closely observe, and here there is a directed cycle. So for example, if you go from 2 to 1 and 1 to 3, and then you again go from 3 to 2, so the one on the right is not a DAG, the one on the left side is a directed acyclic graph, or a DAG. So the most important takeaway from this slide is that a directed graph is a DAG only if it can be topologically ordered. If it should have at least one topological order for a directed graph to be a directed acyclic graph. And this means that conversely, if you cannot actually obtain a topological order for a directed graph, that means it must contain a cycle. It can have several cycles, but it must contain a cycle if we are not able to actually get a possible topological order for a particular directed graph. And so this is the most important takeaway from the slide, is that a directed graph is a DAG only if it can be topologically ordered. It should have at least one valid topological order. So next is something called an in-degree, and is in-degree of a vertex is the number of edges which are actually incident onto the vertex. And out-degree is actually the number of vertices that are outgoing from a vertex. To take an example of this, in-degree of vertex 1 is 0 because there are no vertices that are coming into vertex 1, and the out-degree of vertex 1 is 2 because there are exactly 2 edges that are going out from vertex 1. So every DAG G has at least one vertex with in-degree 0 and at least one vertex with out-degree 0. The proof for this is very simple. So that is, if a directed graph happens to be a DAG, that means it should have at least one vertex with in-degree 0 and at least one vertex with out-degree 0. So a possible proof of this is that, let's say we have a longest path that in the directed graph from that exists from say vertex u to v, and if u to v happens to be a longest path, that means u will basically have an in-degree of 0, and similarly this vertex v will have an out-degree 0, and if either of these conditions are not met, that means this particular path in that graph is not a longest path. So that is one possible way to think about this, but this is actually pretty simple. The proof for this is pretty simple, and we'll be using this to actually find the topological sort in something that's known as the Kahn's algorithm. So there are two possible ways in which you can actually find the topological order. One is very simple and straightforward. That is just using the already known depth first search, that is DFS, and just with just a single line of code or very few lines of code, you can just use DFS to just find the topological sort. The other way is to use an algorithm called Kahn's algorithm, which uses the in-degree of a vertex to actually find the topological sort. We'll be having a look at both of them. So the prerequisite for understanding topological sort in approach 1 would be depth first search. Let us now see how we can tweak the normal depth first search algorithm to perform a topological sort of the given directed graph. You should check out my video on depth first search if you haven't seen that already before continuing with this. So the idea here is to actually use an additional data structure that will keep track of the nodes once it's done completely exploring all its children. That is, once there are no more unvisited children to explore, we keep track of that particular node, and and eventually at the end of this procedure we'll be getting the topological sort. So let's see this in action. I just start with one. I call DFS on node 1, and node 1 has two children, that is 2 and 3. So let's call DFS on 2 now, and 2 has only one child, so that is it has only one neighbor. It'll call DFS on 4, and now 4 has no more children to explore, and it has nothing left. So I'll mark it as finished, and this is what I was talking about. I'm going to maintain an additional data structure here. I'll maintain a finish stack. You can maintain a linked list as well, and you can start appending the nodes to the head of the linked list. It's totally up to you, but in this case, let's say I have a finish stack. Since 4 is completely done, I add it to the finish stack, and now I backtrack to 2, and 2 again now has no more unvisited nodes to explore. All its children are done. So I'll add 2 as I'll mark 2 as finished as well, and then add it to my finish stack. And now I backtrack to 1. 1 still has one more child to explore, so I call DFS on 3 now, and 3 has no more unvisited children left. 4 is already done, so now I mark 3 as completely finished, and I add it to my finish stack. So there you go. And now I backtrack to 1. 1 has no more unvisited children left, and now I'll mark 1 as completely finished. It's done, so I add it to my finish stack. So that is it. Like just a slight modification to the standard DFS, and we're able to get the topological sort of a directed graph. And I've shown this example with a very small graph, but this can actually work with all kinds of graphs, provided the directed graph has it's actually a DAG. It's a directed acyclic graph. And at the end of it, since it's a stack, so I can just start popping the nodes one by one. So once I do that, this is a valid topological order for the given graph: 1, 3, 2, and 4. So this is the pseudocode of what I had just described. I'm maintaining a finished stack, and this is the normal DFS procedure. So I'm marking the node U, on which the DFS is called, as true. That is marking it as visited. And then I'm actually looping through all its neighbors in the adjacency list. And if that neighbor happens to be unvisited, I perform a DFS on that. And once I'm done exploring all its children, again, there is nothing more to explore, I add that node U into my finish stack. So node U was actually the node on which DFS is called originally. So this line is the only modification to the procedure, and the rest of the procedure just remain the same. And as you can see, since it's we're doing nothing extra, like the time complexity is just going to be the same as the standard DFS. It's going to be O V plus E, and the auxiliary space complexity here. This is actually because of the finish stack, or if you're going to maintain a linked list as well, it's going to take OV because we'll be storing the vertices. So that is the walkthrough of topological sort using DFS. Let's now have a look at the code walkthrough. So let's say this is a university's degree requirements. I start my degree with an introduction to programming course, and then I take up in order to take Python, I should have finished this course. In order to enroll for Java as well, I need to have completed this introduction to programming course. And similarly, the prerequisite for advanced Python is Python. The prerequisite for advanced Java is Java. And I also enforce one additional condition saying if I have to enroll for my final thesis work, I need to have completed advanced Java and advanced Python. So advanced Java and advanced Python are both necessary prerequisites to actually enroll for the final thesis work. And once I finish my thesis, I get my degree. So let's try to get a valid order in which we can enroll for courses in order to complete the degree. And let's see what our standard DFS procedure would give you. I start I call it with the Introduction to Programming course, the first course I start my degree with. And let's see what it's giving me. So this is what it's printing. So it's saying I can start my degree with introduction to programming. That's nice. Then Python, then advanced Python. That's good. But then here is where I fail. Like wherein it says after you finish your advanced Python, you can take up thesis, and then this is clearly a wrong order because I needed to have completed advanced Python and advanced Java before enrolling for the thesis. So this is not possible, and I cannot pursue my degree this way. So this is where a topological sort can help us. Uh, Note that this is a small graph, and we can clearly see just arbitrarily visiting using graph traversal techniques will not give us the right necessary topological order. And here we need a topological sort. And so let's try to implement topological sort using the approach we previously discussed. So I have here a finished stack, and once I have no more unvisited children to explore, like once all my children have been explored completely, what I do is I just add my node to the finished stack, and that is pretty much it. And this is to print the topological sort. So this is the order of my courses. So let me just try printing everything that's there in the stack. Print finish stack pop. So let's see what this is giving me. So this it says I can start my degree with introduction to programming, and then I can take up Java, and then I can take up advanced Java, and then Python and advanced Python, and then my final thesis, and then I'm done with my degree. So this is exactly what I wanted, and this is a valid order in which I can pursue my degree. So I hope you're able to appreciate and also understand how topological sort is implemented using DFS. In the next video, we'll be seeing how a topological sort can be implemented using Kahn's algorithm, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.